Hola, bienvenidos! Welcome to the 100% restoration and remodel of my great-great-grandfather's $7,000 mansion. Now, today's video could potentially be a little bit strange. We are currently in the middle of trying to get a new power supply into the side of the house, and as we noticed by the house behind me, this is not the mansion. Last night was my wife's birthday party, and we had authentic Mexican carne asada, and I'm pretty sure I got food poisoning, so I don't really want to go too far from a toilet, and right now the house is under construction and we don't have a toilet in there, so I don't know if I'm going to get over there or not. So Justin and Roman are going to get started getting the electricity hooked up, or finalizing getting the electricity hooked up, and I'm going to work on some stuff here in the house, and hopefully I get feeling better in a little bit. And if I do, then we will go over and help them.
While Cole is struggling with his toilet issues, Justin and I are gonna start on finishing our yesterday scope of work, which is putting a last piece of conduit, and then we're gonna run every wire that we need into these panels here as well as in the house, and we're gonna also try to hang the breaker panel for the house that's gonna stay permanently in there. Okay, now we're all glued together. Gonna move all this stuff away so Justin can backfill it with a skid loader, and hopefully we'll be done with the muddy part. We have a little bit of a tough situation here because it's a 2-inch conduit, extremely hard to bend. It's a thick wire that is not going well through tight bends, but we'll try to do our best and see if we can custom build and heat up the conduit to make it bend this way, up, and over into this tray. Right now Justin is trying to figure out where we can find a hole saw to drill through that metal to run the wires and conduit through. Do they have it?
He said he has one.
We're gonna do another project now while we're waiting for the tools. That's just sometimes how things are working, which is a bummer, but it's better than not do anything and not progress. Almost done. We just need to thread the wire in, put the piece of conduit on from the inside out, glue it, and we're gonna wait for our hole saw so we can drill the opposite side where we just stopped. But we're gonna have some food right now. Oh, Justin is cooking.
Boogers.
Food poisoning update. I spent the last little while working on the computer, and then I've also been working on some house designs. I wrote a check for the farm, and honestly, this is not a terrible day to be kind of feeling under the weather, because outside it's just kind of gloomy if I can get out from under that screen. But it's just, I mean, it's about 70 degrees out, so it's not cold, it's not hot. I guess a better way of putting it is it's not one of those beautiful 80-degree days where it's just an absolute bluebird sky and you feel like you're missing out on a ton of stuff. It just feels like a relaxed day, so it doesn't make me feel as bad working in the house. Neva just made some eggs for me, so I just gobbled all of those down. Those were good, thank you, Neva. In the last hour, I've only had to go to the bathroom one time, and the disgusting smelling sulfur burps have stopped, so I think we're getting on the up and up. I guess with that being said, I'm going to finish up my computer work, and when I get done with this, hopefully I'll be feeling good enough then, but in the meantime, I got a bunch to do here.
Cole is here.
Hey! Just checking out how you guys are making out on your work activities. Then I'm gonna be heading out here in a minute.
Not sooner?
I just had to get some fresh air. I don't like being cooped up in the house. You sit in front of the computer long enough, it's not very fun. I just wanted to feel like I was a part of the project for a few minutes.
Oh, yes, you were.
It is always nice to get up and walk around when you're not feeling good, getting some fresh air. It always makes me feel better anyway than just laying around in the house doing absolutely nothing. But the main reason why I needed to come over here, I actually needed to utilize the internet in the house. We have Starlink in the main heated shop, but it is, I mean, it's fast, but when you're trying to send big files, it's not quite as like fast as I would like it to be, as in when I'm over here, I can send a file off in like 5 minutes. Over at the other shop, it was taking like 5 hours to do it. So I got that sent off. I was actually able to do it from right here in the back seat. And then I was able to just see what Justin and Roman were doing while I was here. And honestly, they are in a 2-guy position right now. So I have some deadline stuff that I need to do on the computer business-wise. So I'm actually gonna be going to take care of that while Justin and Roman get the last little bit of wire drug through the conduit and into the boxes. So not a bad day to necessarily be missing out on what they're doing. And this is what I struggle the most with in business in general. I always feel like I need to be the person out there doing the thing and not have somebody else do it, because it feels lazy sitting in the office and not doing anything when you're doing something. It's just typing, and it's a lot of mental thought, and you may sit there for several hours and you don't see a house being built in front of you while you're sitting in front of the computer, but you may have 10 hours of thought into one thing. So from you sitting there looking at what got done, it does not feel like a lot got done. Everybody makes fun of you for just, oh, you're gonna go sit in front of your computer again. And I guess that's something I just have to get over. But that is probably one of the most difficult things about business for me, is being the guy sitting inside while everybody else is actually doing the thing. First up on my little to-do list, I have a Simply Safe integration to film. I understand that nobody likes watching commercials, so I just wanted to give a big thank you to you guys for watching them when we do make them, because it is these commercials placed in the videos that help make everything possible. It's what allows Roman to be here, what allows Justin to be here, and what allows Cedric to be able to be here, so that way he can be editing videos and we can keep these things pumping out and we can keep diving into these projects. So these things are massive support to the channel, and I just wanted to thank you guys for sitting down and watching them, because I understand we got better things to do than watch ads, but it truly does help us out a lot, so thank you. I have some bad news. As I'm sitting here filming, my mom just sent me a text message. She said that her dad, who has failing kidneys and has been on dialysis, he has decided to stop his treatment. He wants to be done. So he's being taken to hospice now, and they will comfort him for the rest of his life. I feel bad for my mom right now, so I just called her. She's pretty sad. That's what's going on today.
Okay, we got everything done, everything enclosed, and picking up the tools. Moving to another side, right over there. So what's the plan here?
We're gonna put this wire through this LB.
And then glue that on that side?
Yep.
Just leave like this for electrician.
This is as far as we are comfortable with going.
I don't even need you there.
Yeah, you do.
Is that how you make yourself important?
Shut up, put a wire in there.
Just do meaningless jobs? Good job. What we're gonna do now is backfill that hole and probably wire up the water well. After discussing with Justin the game plan, we decided we're not gonna use this box because originally we're going to use only 3 wires to hook up the water well. Now we have 3 more wires to hook up the outlet as well. And this box is just simply not gonna cut it, so we need different materials, different route, and we don't have it. So we're gonna have to come and get it.
I just got done filming my Simply Safe integration. It is now starting to rain just a little bit. Justin and Roman just left, so I'm gonna go see how they made out. Wow, take a look at that. They got everything all tucked away inside the gutter. The 2 on the left is the ones that they just did. The little one is the one that goes to the well. The one to the right of that is the one that supplies power to the house. They got everything tucked inside that big metal box right there. That looks good. Good job, guys. Then on the other end, they got the power coming up. They got everything through the wall. We're definitely gonna have to do something with that hole right there. That thing is humongous, but that's a problem for another day. Oh man, wires coming in. That looks absolutely beautiful. So for the wires coming into the house, this is going to be our breaker box. So we got to get this opened up, and then it's just going to go right down there. And then on the other end of the wire where the actual electricity is coming from, Roman and Justin got everything all shoved up inside those boxes, but they are not hooked up yet. So we have the ends over there free, and then we have the ends in the house here free. Wade is going to be coming out, and he's actually going to be the one doing the final installation. Is this something Justin, Roman, and I could figure out? Abso-stinking-lutely, but also we put a lot of work into this already, and it just takes one little tiny mistake with this much electricity flowing through stuff to fry something out that we absolutely do not want to do, or even worst case scenario yet, which we would have the power completely shut off, so this would never happen. But if you touch the wrong thing, that would instantly, you're done, game over. So we're not gonna mess with that stuff. We're gonna leave that one to Wade. While Roman and I wait for Wade to get here, I would really like to hop in the skid loader right now and be able to fix up this area that we trenched. The only thing is, it's a little bit muddy right now, and I have a feeling I am just going to make it worse than what it is right now. So we're gonna let this dry up a little bit, and then hopefully later we'll be able to take the skid loader and be able to spread the rock back over it, so that way we're not dealing with this muddy mess in the middle of the driveway anymore. But in the meantime, we have the well that we need to get finished out. Now, before, the electricity came from the house in the basement over to the well. We are trying to make the farm side, and the house side, and not intermingle the two. So while we had this trench open, we ran a second conduit on the inside, and that is what is sticking out right here. This is the power to the well, and we have a couple sets of wires in here. One of these sets of wires is actually going to hook up to these wires, and it's going to power the pump for the well. The other set is actually going to be for an outlet right here. Now, I don't know what we're going to use an outlet for out here. I just figured, hey, we got a trench open, we got a big enough conduit, we might as well run some extra wires so that way we could have an outlet. Who knows, if we turn this into a little flower garden or something in the future, then we'd be able to hook up a light or anything we need power for. If we need to plug in a truck, or if we just want to charge our phone from the middle of the driveway, we have the ability to do it by having an outlet here. You can never have too many outlets. Right here are the new boxes that we are going to be installing. All the electrical stuff's going to be inside of these, or the outlet's going to be hidden inside of there, which is going to be a big improvement over what we've had, because I've never really paid attention to this, but look at these wire nuts. That is from just sitting out in the sun all these years. That one is actually split open. You can look right down in there. All the water and everything could get in there. Not safe. So these new ones are going to be a really big upgrade for us. Are you certified, Roman?
Yesterday I wasn't, today I am, because I talked to an electrician in Menards.
That's good enough for me.
So we cannot completely finish it because of that stake that we'll have to drive.
Roman is exactly correct. We are not going to be able to finish this yet until we get a metal post, because right now this electrical box, the only thing that's holding it up is the PVC coming out of the ground, and that is super flimsy. Now I guess we have two options. We could bore it right into the side of this well casing, but the metal on that's like that thick, so I'm not sure we're gonna be able to get through that very well. So what we're gonna do is just take a metal post and just drill it down right beside this, and then we'll just mount the electrical box right to that metal post, which when Wade gets here, he has a metal post that we are going to use. So I guess we have to wait for Wade before we can finish this. So now Roman and I are over on the main electrical panels that supply power throughout the entire farm. Justin and Roman got the conduit, ran in the bottom, and while they were doing that, Roman mounted up this red box. This red box is what used to be the thing that supplied power from the basement to the well. Roman did not realize that some of these boxes were empty. Now these used to run the grain bins, and we don't have grain bins over here anymore because they're on the other side of the farm. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take that red box and we are simply just going to mount it on the inside of this nice big box that has a nice weather seal on it. So that way it is protected in here. And if we ever need to get into anything, it's all easy. We don't have to duck way down under anything to get to it. And most importantly, we're keeping it dry, we're keeping it out of the elements, and we don't have to worry about mice getting into it. And now that I'm taking a second look at this red box, it would not actually work right here even if we wanted it to, because when we try to open the door, it hits the top. So that would not work. Oh, I guess you could take the door off like that, but I guess that works too. I didn't realize that was how that worked. But we're not gonna have to worry about that because we're pulling that off and we're simply just gonna stick it up inside of here. So now we are just gonna take these wires off and then put these new ones on?
Mm-hmm. Red.
That's not red, that's brown.
Red. Yellow.
Wade, we're ready for you. While we wait for Wade to get here, Roman is gonna do a little bit of work in the basement. We're gonna be mounting the breaker box right here on the wall. And we also need to do some work on that wall in the future, so we don't want to mount it there yet. So Roman's trying to figure out some sort of temporary way we can hang it from the ceiling or something, so that way we can at least get things hooked up to power in the house. But then when we get to doing the work there down the road, then we're not tearing the box out completely again. We'll just kind of have to relocate. That's the hope anyway. So that's what Roman's gonna be working on until Wade gets here. And then while I'm waiting, I'm going to grab a shovel and I'm gonna dig down beside this well casing and I'm gonna see if I can get down on the base of this old wire a little bit. That way we can get down there and then we can cut it off below ground. And then we don't have to look at this ugly thing anymore. Probably not the proper tool for the job, but it's what I'm gonna use. I'm extremely curious to see what, like 50 or 60 years, well 1968 I believe is when this well was installed. So whatever that is to now of the damage of the sunlight and the weather on this wire, you can see how thick the insulation was on it. This stuff was, well, they figured it was gonna be outside for a good time, but inside of here it shouldn't have any damage. So when we pull it out, let's take a look. Holy cow. It's like all greasy in there. Gross. What the heck? It almost feels soft. Look at the color of the wire. Hey, did you get done installing that temporary electrical box in the basement?
Almost, but I saw the squirrel, I started chasing it, and that squirrel is that water line that taps into the house from the well. And the right way to do it would be actually find it right at the well and keep it there.
So you're saying you're gonna go finish installing that electrical box while I start digging out here in the well by the hole I've already started to dig?
Oh, you started digging it?
Well, I cut out that wire.
Oh.
I'm already at least halfway there, right?
Yeah. You only bring your little flower digger?
This is a little bit of family history that you probably don't care to hear about, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The water for this farm used to come from the house across the road, and they had an underground line that went under the road, through the yard, and then up to here, and it supplied water to the farm. When new owners moved in across the road, we ended up building this well, or I should say my grandpa ended up building this well because it was in the late 1960s when he did it. This well is 463 feet deep, and it has some hard water. Like you pull this stuff out, it's almost red. It has a ton of iron in it, a lot of calcium. It's not very good to drink. So when they put this in, the original plan for it was to supply water to the farm and the house. But once they realized how bad it was to drink, they abandoned the line going to the house. But the line going into the house is still there. It just pokes through the wall and we have it capped. And when I mean it's capped, I literally mean they just put a cap on the end of it. So see how it's poking through the wall? That is our water line. Other than looking ugly, that pipe is not causing any problems poking through the wall. The only thing I don't like about it is this pump underneath the well, is supplying constant pressure over to that pipe, and we just have that plastic cap on, and the hose is a late 1960s hose. If that cap were to give, or if that hose were to get a little crack in it, we would have water leaking into the basement. And this thing pumps some serious amounts of water. So the last thing I would like is for us to get everything done in the basement, everything looking all nice, all of a sudden that pipe or that cap gives out, and then we just get flooded with like 60 gallons a minute into the house, and we're gone for the weekend or something, and we come back and we find ourselves with a nice red swimming pool in the basement. That is the last thing that I would like to walk into. So what we're gonna try to do, we need to dig down about 5 feet right here at the well and find where that line starts. Once we find that, then we will get everything dug out around it. We will cut the line right here at the well. We will cap it here, and then the line going from the well over to the house will no longer have pressure in it anymore, and then we don't have to worry about accidentally flooding the basement. Not kidding, this thing is terrifying to take off the trailer because you can't see anything. Ah, it's so scary! Now that I think about it, I panicked and I pushed in the clutch, which was probably the worst thing I could have done. Okay, well, we made it. We're good. Okay, let's go deep. I guess while we're confessing things, probably also the third hole I've ever dug with this backhoe. Tight quarters, electricity on one side, a water line I don't want to hit on the other. What could go wrong?
You'll be fine.
So after me sitting here and coaching Roman how to dig this hole and continually giving him moral support so that way he'd get it done, Roman found the T. You can see it way down there. So the one on the left side is the one that runs over to the house. We're gonna cut that off. And as we're sitting here, I'm like, you know what? While we have this exposed, what we should really do with that, instead of just plugging it, we should put in a hydrant right here in the center, because if we ever have some sort of garden thing here with some flowers, like a little island area, we'd have the ability to water it right then and there. And then also every now and again when we want water for, let's say, the garden, or for if we're running the sprinkler or something in the yard, we run it through the well, because then we just have to pay for electricity and not the water. And in the past we'd have to run hoses across the driveway. And when you run a hose across the main driveway, every single vehicle that comes through, they just run it over and it puts holes in them. But if it was over here, then it would just run across this little part of the driveway, and then everyone else can drive over there. So we're gonna put in a hydrant. Only problem is now we need to find a hydrant. Everywhere we've looked, they are all shipping only. Nobody has one in stock. So in the morning, I'm going to see if I can call around and find somebody who has one, because we would like to get that installed. And it's probably a good thing Roman and I got into that, because Wade sent me a text and he said he had some service calls come up, so he was not able to come out today. He's gonna come out first thing in the morning and get us hooked up on the electricity. So while he's doing that, well, I guess while we're waiting for him, Roman and I are gonna get a little bit of arm wrestling training in. Now you guys can probably tell by looking at Roman. I mean, look at that. But Roman is the #1 ranked 154-pound arm wrestler in his left hand and right hand in the entire United States of America. And you're probably up there on the planet, I would guess.
Not really.
Now you're just being humble. But Roman, I guess, has a pretty big tournament coming up in a few months. And I am still seeking my first amateur win in a singular match, so I'm training for my first win, and Roman's training for his big match.
Yeah, whichever one that is. I don't want to make it too easy, but I didn't want to also shut it down so you don't even feel where to pull.
Exactly.
That was about perfect.
So that's how Roman pulls for me. Now, when I train him, I use 2 hands.
Just ease into it. Lubricate the joints.
And it's still hard to use 2.
Ready?
Yep. I'm actually pulling as hard as I can. Lassie like 3 stars aquí. That's executing perfect form right there, Justin. Good job. Oh, big man on the phone. Buenos dias. There we go. Look at that. We have our breaker panel in. Now, this stuff is just in here temporarily right now. Well, that part coming in is going to be permanent. And then this is what's called a Midwest tap box. So on the inside, this is where the power actually comes into. And then this is more of like a directory box. So some of the electricity is going to go from here and it's going to feed the breaker panel. This breaker panel is going to feed all of the basement and the first floor. And then we have another wire that's coming out. And then this one snakes around and goes up. Now, this is also just temporary right now. This is not the stuff we are going to use in the end. But this is supplying electricity to the breaker panel, just like this one that we have on the upstairs. And that supplies power to the second floor and the attic. I was going to say we're now done with the electricity, but I forgot about the well. That's a project for another day.